Asperger syndrome and high-functioning autism are pretty similar. That's why we're going to talk about them together today.
High-functioning autism and Asperger syndrome are both ways that some kids are different from everyone else. They both will make it hard for someone to communicate with other people and to understand the way that other people feel and act.
I naturally have Asperger's. I've learned rules from different and other kids. Then all of a sudden some other kids change the rules around, and I just get all confused and I don't know what to do.
David's favorite subject is science. He enjoys history, learning about other civilizations. I think David's greatest strength is his desire to be helpful to people. He goes out of his way to help other children who might have difficulties. The best way for other people to be friends with David is to reach out to him. By people helping him feel comfortable and by having patience with him, because he doesn't necessarily understand the rules, he would be one of the best friends they ever had.
That shows us just how important it is to people who have high-functioning autism and Asperger syndrome to have friends who help them.
I have brothers and sisters with autism.
Everyone who has been around someone who has autism has probably noticed that they act differently from the rest of us. And that's because they see the world differently.
Like all of you here did when you had the sunglasses on.
Now let's check out what it's really like to have autism. We're going to use the special power of video to take you inside the mind of someone who has it, so that you can understand how the world looks, feels, and sounds to a person with autism. And then we're going to learn a little bit more about what autism is, so that we can help out the people we know who have it.
Okay, now put your glasses on, but hang on.
Here we are. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
How about a nice round of applause?
That's kind of a nice, happy sound. The sound of hands clapping, isn't it? Yeah, that sounds good to me.
But to someone with autism, it may not be nice at all. Ready? You may want to cover your ears.
It can be downright scary, and that's why you sometimes see children with autism cover their ears or scream when they hear a noise like a class bell or a PA announcement in school. That was fast, wasn't it? So you could say the world can be a pretty scary place for children with autism. And now you can understand why they might act a little differently than the rest of us sometimes, and why they might need a little extra help to get through the day. Some may even have a special helper or a special assistant in class to help them. And sometimes they might need to spend some time in smaller classrooms to get this help.
But all of us can help these children be part of the classroom team.
So the more we know about autism, the better we can help.
Sometimes it's kind of hard for me because I think that people think that I'm different or something.
They don't consider pretending that kids do not exist 24/7 bullying.
It would be easier if they would be understanding of it.
Let's go one time. Team on two. 1, 2. Team.
The students you just met all have a couple of things in common. First, they're all teenagers facing the challenges of life in high school. But they also share a special challenge. They have a developmental disability called high-functioning autism, or Asperger syndrome. Disorders that make it hard to relate to other people and hard to communicate.
Children with autism or Asperger's disorder have a social learning disability. It's the same as if you have dyslexia, which is a reading disability, or a disability in math. Their disability is in social situations.
It's like I ask them if I can play a game with them. They're like, oh, I guess that's just, did I hear something? Nah, it's just the wind. And that's kind of how they ignore me and stuff.
As hard as it can be for people with high-functioning autism or Asperger syndrome to make friends, having friends is just as important to them as it is to any teenager, maybe even more so. And that means in school as well as after school.
Normally kids with autism don't really have any friends because they're different in actually quite good ways, but nobody really notices that.
When you have a child that can't express naturally what they're feeling and what they're going through, not only is it frustrating and terrifying and all those emotions for the child, it is also like that for the parents, because you want so much to be able to help them and you want so much to understand what they're going through, and you just can't do it.
Having a child with autism is a lot like having a child that's from a foreign country that doesn't speak the language of their peers, and oftentimes you as a parent don't understand.
Language is often difficult for people with autism. For example, some people with autism may repeat words they just heard, even though it may not make much sense to us. That's kind of a way that they communicate. Difficulty communicating or talking with others is one reason people with autism have a hard time in social situations. But autism isn't all about challenges. Some people with autism have special strengths, like really strong interest or a hobby, or being really good at certain subjects in school.
I look at many of the students with autism as far as looking at their skills, and it is amazing how creative they are.
But although most teens with autism often have some of the characteristics we've been talking about, every teen with autism is different from each other, and each is unique as the rest of us. We all have different reactions to things, different sensitivities, and different likes and dislikes.
One of my favorite things about Patrick is that he's really funny. He makes me laugh at things he does.
Patrick, are you jumping with Megan? Tell her. What? Patrick, you want Megan to jump, please. Say, I want Megan to jump, please. Megan to jump, please. That's it.
Meet Jack McAfee. Jack has Asperger syndrome. He's done fairly well in school to date and wants to go to college. His parents and school have been very supportive, and through the years he's taken advantage of some specialized resources available to students with Asperger syndrome.
Well, Jack, I see here you are in your senior year at Stonington High. Can you tell me a little about your years there?
Certainly. Throughout high school, I've been a strong student. I've maintained a 3.5 GPA and have been on the honor roll the past 2 years.
Jack's answers are to the point, and he makes sure he stays on the point and doesn't digress. He maintains good posture, making sure to sit straight in the chair while appearing comfortable. He keeps a pleasant look on his face and maintains good eye contact without staring too much.
Jack, what would you say thus far has been your best experience in high school?
The best experience is the opportunity to work part-time through the Allen Arboretum.
When answering a question, Jack first takes a few seconds to collect his thoughts. Then he provides an answer that is concise and truthful, remembering not to ramble. Jack continues to respond to the admissions counselor's questions, listening carefully to the question, then collecting his thoughts before answering.
The fears and concerns that I have with having my son, my older son that have autism, is what's going to happen in the future, how the people are going to treat him, where he goes, what things he's going to do by himself, which I'm not quite sure that he's ready yet. And that will be probably most afraid. I'm afraid that what's going to happen in the future if I'm not around.
My fears of having a young adult with autism are that what's going to happen with him after he's out of the school system at the age of 21.
The early years, and I mean the early 5 to 10 years, was more based on academics, helping him to learn to speak, helping him to learn to talk, helping him to learn a few things about his environment. Now it's more developing life skills and how's he going to survive as a young adult, and you know, when the time comes when we're not around, is he going to have the basic skills that he's going to need to be able to help take care of himself. So the concerns and fears have kind of ratcheted up from academic to more life skills at this point.